Okay, next up we have Black Mirror season 5, which I watched. Um, I'm up to date on the Black Mirror episodes. It is one of the best TV shows out there, I would say.
Spooky.
It's spooky, but also disturbing, but
Yeah.
sometimes really happy. Um, this season has been met with a lot of negativity. People aren't very into it. It doesn't help that it's only 3 episodes. Apparently,
Um,
Bandersnatch ate up
are
into
those
the
people
budget.
correct, Willer? Tell us if it's actually good.
Those people are overreacting, but kind of correct. So I
Okay.
would say this is my second least favorite season of Black Mirror, which I would only put it above one. Uh, one second episode is really weak, and the first episode's okay, and the third episode is really good. Um, this season kind of follows that, where it's got like a weaker one, a middle one, and a stronger one. Um, One thing about this season, so I feel like the part where people are wrong is that there's this misconception that Black Mirror is supposed to be always really depressing. When as early as like season 2 or 3, we start getting these stories that are like more bittersweet or happy. Like some of them end really happy, even.
Yeah, like
Yeah, and I feel like some of the more well-received episodes were the happy ones.
Well, a lot of people like this episode called White Bear, which is like
God,
That killed me.
White
Yeah.
Bear is too over the top with its twist. I don't like that episode. Like
that
sometimes
that
they go too dark, where like it's
I mean I told you this one. I really like the idea of like the morale concept that you have there for that episode because it's like if you expunge the entire idea of this crime in memory of that this person commit, is it still okay to like punish them?
and
Like
that's really interesting. But it also doesn't help that the episode's kind of just like weird and confusing up until the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
The
it's like
thing with that episode is I like it because people can have this moral discussion on it. Like I've seen people
right.
try to make cases for the people doing the punishing. So I like the episode because it brings that kind of discussion, and any good Black Mirror episode does do that. That episode was probably also the point where I was like, I need to take a break from this fucking show.
Yeah, there's also White Christmas, where holy shit, that ending is omega bleak.
Oh yeah,
Again, a little too bleak. But then that I'm not saying I dislike those because there's an episode called "Shut Up and Dance" that is the best episode in the entire show, and that ends with you feeling empty and terrible. So like, I like it when it goes there. But my second favorite episode is like one of the happiest, which is called "Hang the DJ," which I don't think either of you have seen.
yeah.
that's
But
in
like,
season 4, right?
That's in season 4, and it's about a dating app, and it's really interesting.
yeah,
There's also
and
an episode called San Junipero, which is also very happy.
Ancient
yeah.
Empire is really good.
I was gonna bring up San Junipero. That one and Hang the DJ are two that like. I've seen San Junipero, I haven't seen Hang the DJ, but they're two that I know are that they're relatively happy stories, and they're some of the most well received of all time.
Hmm.
So like when people say, "Oh, Black Mirror has to be this bleak and depressing deal," I'm like, no, it just has to have an interesting story to tell, and it's kind of a thought experiment, you know?
And there's so many episodes that are mixed, like they end bittersweet, or like they end bad for the person, but they don't reflect on society. Like, for example, there's that episode called Be Right Back, where a grieving mother, or I think she's just a widow, she gets like this android that becomes her husband.
Oh
it's,
yeah,
it's like a girlfriend. Like
And
just
then she like it ends up where it doesn't work out, and she hides it in the attic. That's a really sad story, but it doesn't mean that the whole world is fucked. Like that's an isolated case that can happen to people, but it's not like a
Well-
flip of that would be Men on Fire, which is like this episode where soldiers are wearing contacts that let them see the enemies as like these monsters when they're just normal people. So it's like society is fucked in that one. So it goes,
an ecstasy embers whenever they do really good on a mission.
yeah, that as well.
Yeah.
It's like, so that is to say it spans the gamut of like a lot of things, and I like that. As the main theme for me always has been, it's a show that uses technology to pose interesting questions and scenarios.
yeah. I that's what that's the core of the show is we can have a tone going any direction. The tone of Black Mirror could go all the way happy, it could go all the way negative. I think the core is that we want to look at either a particular technology or a particular way of running society and kind of ask ourselves, where would that go? Are we ready for that? Could we handle that? Do we want that?
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no. I think it's no more often than it's yes. But I think that's the core.
A majority of people like the bad end episodes, even though a solid third of the episodes are like happy and like a good chunk are mixed. But so we've established that like I think we all like the same thing in Black Mirror. So how does season 5 hold up to it? Well, it's got 3 episodes. I'd say the first one is the weakest of the bunch, but also there's a thing where like people's episodes are in different orders. I saw this on Reddit. So my first episode was God, what the fuck was it called? Fighting Vipers. This episode features a VR fighting game.
Ooh.
That is like a.
Oh, you were gushing about this one.
The actual like fighting game aspects of it were fucking really fun.
Yeah, you were like, they invented a fighting game, and not even like a generic one, just for this episode.
It was like a Street Fighter. Like I feel like the biggest inspirations were Street Fighter and Tekken, and it's like 2D. But like they were playing it, I was like, what the fuck? This is a. They were doing combos. They had meter. Like fighting games are my favorite genre. I was looking at it. I was like, this looks real. It's weird. So good props to those programmers, or maybe it was all CG. That actually made that fighting game, but y'all really made it convincing. But the idea of the episode, do y'all mind if I give kind of synopsises? I mean,
yeah, go for it.
If you guys are planning to jump on and watch the ones you haven't, but basically it touches on, there's a VR up, so these college roommates are playing it, and they kind of drift apart, and years later they're seeing each other only once a year and like birthdays and stuff. But a new version of Fighting Vipers came out on the PS8 or whatever, and it's got VR. And this VR is super realistic, where you become the character. And then there's some ethical questions raised about fucking each other while you're in this VR world.
Oh my god.
So you go from like...
Yes.
So when they enter the VR world, they have this huge fight, and it's like really cool because it's a live action fight. It has Mantis... from the Marvel Universe as this girl character.
I'm sold.
And then a Power Ranger as the boy character. And then the two friends are Falcon from the MCU and Black Manta from the DC Universe.
Well, damn.
So this episode is Black Manta and the Falcon have sex with each other through avatars that are Mantis and a Power Ranger. And it raises the questions of like, 1, is this gay? 2, is this cheating? 3, do we love each other? And I thought when it gets to that, it gets really interesting and like totally caught me off guard, where you go like, oh, fighting games, to, oh.
That is an interesting question, because, is that cheating? And that might just be up to each individual person to decide.
That cheating aspect and the homosexuality aspect are big parts of this episode, and I feel like it does a cool job. Like this is the weakest of the season, but I really like that angle of it. So
it's not gay if it's net play,
right? That's one of the questions, because one of them is playing as a girl and one of them is playing as a guy, and there's a line that is I fucked a polar bear for you, man. That's a line that's been uttered in the human language now. It's just a bit too long and slow in some points. That's the weak point. Anyways, there's a lot of them having sex. Like, holy shit. There's like many montages. They seem like they're having fun. Anyways, the second episode, I'd probably put it in the middle of the pack of, I was gonna say Walking Dead, of Black Mirror episodes. It's called Smithereens, and its base premise is an Uber driver kidnaps someone who he thinks is the CEO of Smithereen, which is like a Facebook or Twitter social network.
Okay.
He kidnaps him because he wants to talk to the CEO of the company, who is played by Topher Grace, who is Eric whatever from That 70s Show.
Oh, okay.
He's really
Oh
good in
wow.
this. He's a really good. He's not even a villain. Um, he's just a really good. So he's a CEO who was like out on like a 2 day mental like purge meditation session, like weird CEOs do.
Yeah.
And then he gets a call in the middle of this. He's like, "God damn it!" So they have to handle this, and it's like, it's a really good setup, and it's really intense. One thing about this whole season, the acting is phenomenal, and so is the cinematography and stuff.
Well,
That is
yeah,
like
like
a
the
Black Mirror
cast
staple.
you've described is already like, holy shit, they got them on the show.
High budget shit.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's it's a really tense episode, and it the way it ends and the message is telling. There's two messages. There's a couple of messages is telling. A lot of people, I think, take the weaker one as the takeaway, where I guess I'll say it. There's like a message of don't text and drive and all that associated to this episode, which I think is a lot of people's takeaway. The more interesting takeaway for me was the social network company is able to find all the information on the kidnapper before the police because they're socially engineered and all that. I don't know. The actual story of the episode is intense. The discussion behind it, I feel like it's not up to Black Mirror standards. So that's where that one falls.
All right.
Okay. This last one gets me quite excited.
Okay.
A lot of people fucking hate this episode. It's a lot of people's least favorite Black Mirror episode at this point. I had a blast with this. It's called Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2.
Oh no.
So
What are we getting into?
this episode features Miley Cyrus as she's a pop idol, and she's kind of disillusioned with her life.
And she leads a double life
Not quite.
as Hannah Montana.
No, but maybe in some ways you could stretch it to that. Basically, by the way, Miley Cyrus, good actress, good on her. She's her manager is her aunt who took her in after her mom died, her parents died, and she's her manager, and she's like really big. She's a big pop star now. She's kind of tired of having to sing all these happy songs. She's writing edgier shit and whatever. She's
Okay.
going through some manager problems. That's the B plot. The A plot is about this girl named Rachel who is too shy to make friends in school, and she loves Miley Cyrus's character. She loves Miley Cyrus, whose name is Ashley.
Yeah.
Ashley in the management group comes out with a thing called an Ashley 2, which is this. It's so fucking cute. It's this adorable robot that has an AI that is a neuro snapshot of Ashley, so it can act like Ashley as your little robot companion. But it's kind of neutered and nerfed, so it's all the sugariest, nicest parts of Ashley
Yeah.
and none of her real identity. And it goes from there. Rachel has a sister called Jack. They have a really interesting relationship. Weird shit happens with Ashley. I don't want to spoil it too much.
Yeah.
This ends up feeling like a Disney movie, which is what a lot of people dislike about it. It feels like a Disney Channel movie, but like with dark elements in it. But it ends really happy, and
I'll say this sounds like one of the episodes I would be most interested in.
It sounds like a Disney Channel original movie, hiding the fact that they brought on Miley Cyrus.
It is that, and like there's also like an angle where it's like criticizing the way that Disney treats its child actors or whatever. I'm gonna get to the core Black Mirror-ness of this episode because a lot of people disregard it because of like the ending is like genuinely almost too sugary sweet. I can get that, but like there's so much good stuff in this episode where at one point Ashley goes in a coma and they start drilling her brain for information, and she's writing songs through her coma through her neural waves, and the ethics behind that are really fucked. And then it also brings in the holograms where, like, Ashley's in the coma, they make a hologram Ashley, and she has the AI technology that they mastered with the Ashley 2s, but she's getting fed a endless source of information from this comatose girl, and so she can become, like, a hologram act, like a Hatsune Miku. It's really interesting. It's really bonkers. I feel like people are too hard on this one. I think it knows that it's a Disney original movie, and like it runs with it in a fun way. So that's what I got for Black Mirror season 3. I enjoyed it. It's not as good as
Season 5.
It's not as good as 5. It's not as good as 2, 3, or 4, but it was fun.
Yeah, that last one might be that might get me back into it. The thing with Black Mirror is like almost every episode I've seen has been like a 4 or a 5 out of 5. But despite that, I stopped watching just because I got like real bad anxiety from the show.
I
feel that,
I stopped watching the show like I stopped watching Breaking Bad. I just emotionally couldn't deal with it as like because I watched all of Black Mirror basically in like a row, which is like soul crushing.
Yeah, it can be intense.
I'm kind of the opposite, where like a Black Mirror comes out and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for to be depressed by these. Like it's an outlet in a way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It becomes like a weird holiday. It's like, oh, Depression Day. Here we go.
It's because Willer, you're like Usopp of our group.
How? What? How dare you?
From Thriller Bark.
Oh no, I'm not. That's someone else.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I think what happened to me is that like a friend showed me the show, like showed me 2 episodes. I was like, oh, this is great. And I pretty much watched it nonstop for a day or two, and I was just kind of picking whatever episodes were interesting out of seasons 1 through 3. And then I read online, everyone's like, oh, White Bear and White Christmas are the best episodes in the whole show. I was like, oh, I'll watch those. And then after I watched them, I didn't watch any episodes ever again.
Here's what I'm thinking, Bradley. I think you're clear to watch all of season 5.
Yeah.
Which is only 3 episodes, because they will not depress you that bad. They're going to raise questions, which will be fun, but they won't be like the... And I like that gut punch. That gut punch is good, but like it doesn't have to be that. And like I feel like these episodes are good. Yeah. And if you like that, also watch season 4, because I think there's only 1 or 2 really bleak episodes in that. And I feel like that's a good way for you to get back in. And then maybe you can double back to 3 and 2 that have like some really dark shit.
And to clarify to people, I am glad that I watched White Bear and White Christmas.
They're good episodes.
They're good episodes, and I think they kind of get into the core of the show where they raise questions about what we should and should not do with certain technology. I'm just never going to watch them again because I don't need that in my life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I got for Black Mirror season 5.
Sounds very cool.
I hope season 6. I hope that they have the budget to make more episodes, that they can tighten up the writing. There's one thing of season 5 where there's a few too many, like, well, that was convenient. Where like at one point they take Ashley 2 and they hook her up to her dad's computer, and they pretty easily remove the limiter of her brain. Ooh. And you just kind of have to roll your eye around it, where it's like, it's that easy to get your Ashley 2s to become like a perfect Ashley, where like she's not censored or held back. Like, it's kind of annoying, but I can look past that. But I hope like they can have a tighter, longer season 6.
Homebrew Ashley.
Yeah, it's literally. You can play fucking.
You can play Super Nintendo games on your Ashley.
All of them. You can play Chrono Trigger on Ashley. If I show you like a clip of how Ashley 2 animates, you would want her as well. Like,
I'm sure I would. I haven't even seen her,
adorable.
and I'm like, I want an Ashley 2.
But okay,